Good morning. It is 6:44 a.m. on Monday, October 18th, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis. I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Ugh. Actually woke up before the alarm today. Despite, I once again let my weekend turn into staying up late and then trying to sleep in, and then staying up late, and then can't sleep in because it's Monday. But then I actually woke up before the alarm, so that's how it goes sometimes, I guess. It's always that frustrating dilemma of waking up just enough before your alarm that it really doesn't make any sense to try to go back to bed. Happens. I had a pretty good weekend, though. I didn't do anything that I haven't talked about already a little bit. I've worked more on the Lego Coliseum, making some fun progress there. Like, actually, if you can just see right there, a couple of segments of the part of the Coliseum that's the taller part of it. And, so did that. As before, I'm continuing to enjoy just being able to put an hour or so into it every so often and have it just be this slowly accumulating construction. It's nice. I also played a bunch more Metroid Dread, continuing to make progress there. The the boss fights in that game are definitely the hardest part of it. And the difficulty balance it's interesting, both that and the parts where you're dealing with the Emmy robots. It's an interesting balance because they are very consistently able to make it hard enough that I do need to take several tries. And I do end up getting frustrated, but usually there's not been a single boss in that game where I got so frustrated that I needed to put the game down for a while. There were several that I needed to, die and repeat and die and repeat and die and repeat and die and repeat several times over. But there were never any that I didn't go ahead and push through and succeed in defeating. And so I feel like that's maybe a pretty good balance, because as frustrating as it gets when you're in the middle of that grind, it does create this incredible tension of when you finally pull it off. There's this moment of like you've been holding your breath and you're just like, oh, yes, finally. And yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm liking that a lot still. Yesterday, because it's one of the two movies that we're going to talk about on our next Watching 100 Movies, I rewatched A League of Their Own. Now, this is a movie that I had actually just rewatched just last year, actually, but it's really good. I like it a lot. If you haven't watched it in a while, I would recommend you check it out. It's got, obviously, I think for a lot of people, it introduces them to the idea that there's this thing such as, women's professional baseball that actually existed back during World War II. So that's an interesting slice of history, of course. But then there's also just the excitement of the sport of it, and also the really complex dynamic between the two sisters that are the main characters, because you've got, if you don't remember, you've got Dottie, played by Gina Davis, and her younger sister Kit, played by Lori Petty. And the thing is that, like, Dottie is the older sibling. She's, more conventionally pretty. She's taller. She's better at sports and just more cool and confident just in general. Whereas Dottie cares a lot. She's got a lot of sometimes what you call spunk, moxie, and all of that. But you could also sometimes she's a little bit of a tryhard and that sort of thing, and she's just got a lot of jealousy because there's this dynamic of Dottie is better at baseball, but Kit wants it more, which just creates this dynamic that's very difficult for the two of them to manage because Dottie doesn't want to hurt Kit, but she also doesn't feel like she should have to pretend that she's not as good as she is in order to just make Kit feel better. And besides, if she does that, then Kit just resents her for that. So there's this, this feeling of like, it's not fair that something that I care about more, you're better than me at. But for Dottie saying like, that's not my fault. What do you want me to do about it? And yeah, so there's an interesting dynamic there that reminded me, honestly, in this reviewing, a little bit of Mozart, or, Amadeus, I mean. Just where you have Salieri, who is just good enough to realize how good Mozart is and be jealous about it. Anyway, it's really good, and I liked it, and I recommend it. League of Their Own, good movie. And I'll leave it there, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.